Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And it's the last month ever. It's the last day of July. I can hardly believe it. I know summer is over for a lot of the kids out there, so I am referring to this rest of the part of the summer as adult summer. So anyway, let's get into the meditations for today. I'm going to start with A Year of Positive Thinking by Cindy Spiegel. Now, I have to tell you, I'm very excited. I brought over my reading glasses. These are probably my favorite pair of reading glasses from the brand Caddis. No, this isn't sponsored. I just love these reading glasses so much. They're so heavy duty and they're so cute, and I always get so many like compliments on them when I wear them out places. So they have a new color that came out. Now I think this is, okay, these are the Miklos, which is one of my favorite styles. I like the Porgy best and I like the Miklos. I don't know why I'm doing this over here on this channel, but I just thought it would be fun because I haven't used these yet. So I opened them in my review video, but I haven't opened them yet. This is a new color that they have in like 3 of their styles, and this is the Miklos as well. This color is called Braxton, and it's kind of like a greenish blue that like fades down, and I love them so much. And I haven't worn them yet. Let's see. Look at those, how fun they are. I love them so much. And so these are the same style as these. So let's get into the Cindy Spiegel book. Today, it is the last day of July. I almost said the last month again. Last day of July, July 31st. Let's see what, it's one sentence again. July 31st, the world overflows with kindness. The world is filled with kindness. Seek it out and you will repeatedly find it. You know, it's a really interesting quote in here, and I have to say that I really, really like it. I have found in the world, and this is something that I have only realized maybe truly in the last couple years, that if you seek out negativity, or if you seek out betrayal, or if you seek out being lied to, or that people are out there to hurt you, you know, or like when we go through a breakup, sometimes we always say, you know, like all men suck, or, you know, whatever. If we believe that and we seek that, that is what we will find. But I have found that when you look for positivity and you look for growth in people and you're looking for goodness and kindness, you will find that as well, you know? It's kind of to some degree, like, let me just give you an example, all right? It's kind of to some degree like when you're a YouTuber and you read the comments on a video. If you go through the comments and you're looking to find a negative comment where somebody doesn't like you or they say something critical or harsh or whatever, right? You're gonna find those comments. There will always be those comments on any video, right? But if you go under there and you look for the kindness of strangers, you will find that as well, you know? Like on my vlog, and on this channel and on any channel, you know, there's just unbelievable amounts of kindness from people, you know? I mean, I have to just tell you, like, sometimes when I like read my, like, because you guys are always like over here, it's very nice, it's very kind and receptive, and it's always like, thank you so much for this meditation, this is really what I needed to hear today. Don't thank me, thank Cindy Spiegel, you know what I mean? Like, she's the one that put it at July 31st, which actually the 30th is really good too, so I'm going to read that in just a second. But because I read the Melody Baby once last year, so I might as well, I don't know if I did on this date, but I might as well read something different. But anyway, you know, it's like, when I read the comments over here, they're so nice. They're like, you know, thank you for this meditation, or I really needed to hear this, or I'm going through a tough time, thank you for this, and whatever, which I appreciate so much, you know? But what's interesting to me is like on my drama channel, when like the first, like let's say 50 comments are all people like, the first 10 are always like first with a question mark, first, like they all want to be first, right? And then it's like, you know, oh, Peter, I love you. I'm so glad that you posted a video, or, you know, whatever. And it's just, it's sometimes to me, like, I don't even get it, right? And it's like, here I am, okay, just this older guy in the middle of Indianapolis that gets to sit in this old raggedy chair and do what I absolutely love every single day, and people are just, it makes them happy, and it means so much to me. You know, when I get those comments, I'm just like, I don't know, like, this is just so fantastic. And there are people out there that are so kind that they don't have to say anything. You guys don't have to say anything, right? And you just say the nicest things. And I just want to say how much it means to me. I really, really appreciate it. And it's kind of the similar thing, you know? It's like, I have gone through points, like, since I've been on YouTube, when maybe, like, stuff is going on in my personal life, you know, that, like, people are not aware of. I talked about this on my vlog channel recently, you know, that a lot of the things that happen to me on a daily basis, like, I never talk about in my videos, partly because they have to do with my recovery, and people that I know through sobriety. Like, I've lost a lot of people in sobriety since I've been on YouTube, and only when it's somebody that's, like, really, really close to me do I say something about it. But very rarely, you know, if it's like, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I'll get a text from somebody that will say, did you hear about so-and-so? They passed, you know, from an overdose or whatever. And, you know, like, I try to process my gratitude, you know, and all of that, and feel my feelings, and, you know, often call that person, you know, that texted me and talk to them, or tell somebody else, or talk to my sponsor, you know. And, but then I have to find, to some degree, the positivity and the gratitude in the world as well. And so when I read these comments from people that just lift me up, it's like they don't even know it, and yet they are giving me something that I didn't even know I needed today. You know, they're just lifting up my spirits. And so I just want to say thank you so much, because there have been points when I have gotten, you know, into the comments on YouTube, and it's not a day for me to read comments. It just isn't, you know. My friend Tanya always says, there are days that I just don't need to be around other people, because, like, we're just not in a position to be around other people, because we're probably going to say something, you know, with, like, have a short tongue or whatever, you know, and just lash out. There are days, I think, that we all feel that way, that we just don't belong around a lot of other people that day. You know what I mean? And there are days that I don't need to be in the comment sections. But then what I have learned from that is to look for the positive. And I've learned that in the world too, that if I look for the positive, you know, if I reach out to friends of mine that are supportive and uplifting, or real or honest with me, because one of the things that I appreciate in this world is when people can tell me what I need to hear, but say it to me in a way that I'll hear it, you know, because I think that that has a lot to do with people's reception of things. Is that, you know, like, we don't receive things sometimes when people are yelling and screaming at us. You know, but if a friend says to us, like, I'm really worried about you, or, you know, I say that to somebody, right? It's like in all how we hear it. And I think that when we look for people in our lives that we have around us like that, you know. It was interesting because I just watched the movie Nomadland, and there's a guy in there that he hosts these things every year with these people. It's about people that live in their vans or RVs and things like that, and they travel around the country, and many of them are, what does she say, Frances McDormand? She's not homeless, she's houseless. And, but many of them are there because rough times have fallen on them and things like that. And this guy who's, like, in real life, his name's, I think, Bob Wells, he is somebody that puts on these things, and he has gone through, and he talks about his grief of losing his son in the movie. And I actually just read an article about how he really processed through his grief by being in this movie. They have actual people that, like, this is their lifestyle as actors and actresses in the movie. And he says something about, you know, when you have a group of people around you that are like-minded, that see things the way, you know, that you see. Well, I believe that when we're around people that are positive, okay, I'm not talking about Pollyanna people that just, they don't ever see any pain in the world, and they're yes men, and they only want people to tell them everything that's okay. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about when we approach the world from a positive point of view. Okay? When we look at sadness or tragic events and we say, yes, this happened, but I still have my home. You know, but I still have my family, and I still have my friends, and we look at it from a different point of view. We can look at things from gratitude. You know, we pick every day that we get up, we choose whether or not we're going to look at the world in a positive way or a negative way. And for much of my life, I chose to look at the world in a negative way, even sober, okay, even not using. When I wasn't going to meetings and I had no emotional sobriety, no spiritual foundation, I got up every day and I was glass half empty. I looked at the world in a very negative way. And it affected my husband, it affected my best friend, it affected my family, it affected everything around me, but most importantly, it affected me, right? And a lot of the ways that I felt at that time were justified. Okay, we talk about in recovery justifiable anger or justifiable pain. A lot of the things that I had going on inside, you know, my marriage was falling apart, and I was very sad about it, and I didn't know how to process that, and nobody could really tell me anything, and I had stepped away from going to meetings, and I wasn't actively working with a sponsor, and I wasn't in counseling. And, you know, like, a lot of it was on me, but a lot of it was on my husband, too. And I had a lot of justifiable anger and pain. You know, and I had a lot of justifiable anger and pain at God taking my mother, is how I felt, you know. Why my mom, you know. There were a lot of things, excuse me. that I was hurt and upset about. But at the same time, like, I was the one that was being affected by it the most. And that's why I shared the story about when my husband said to me, I said, what do you want for Christmas this year? And he said, I want you to get up every day and smile in the next year. And I took a picture of myself smiling, and he still has it next to his bed. And I worked so hard, you know, and the working on it and the seeing that every day that I get up, that I could see that, you know, that it's my choice on whether I'm positive or I'm negative. And I really believe that, you know, that it's how we choose to look at the world, you know. And it's not about looking through the world through rose-colored glasses. It's about looking at the truth and how we process that, you know. I heard this thing years ago by this fantastic author. Her name is Barbara Coloroso, and she does a lot of things about education and things like that. And I was in a practicum in an elementary school, and which was like an internship. And so I read this book because somebody recommended it to me. I actually listened to it on audio tape, like in my kitchen when I was like cleaning up the kitchen and stuff. I listened as part of it. And there was a part where she was talking about like everything can be a teaching lesson, and not just with kids, but with all of us in life, you know. And she was, if you want to read a fantastic book, it's called Kids Are Worth It. It is by Barbara Coloroso. If you have children, young children, it's a fantastic book. It is a fantastic book for teachers too, and anybody that works with kids. But anyway, it's called Kids Are Worth It. And this one part in there, I don't know it verbatim, but she's talking about how it was her mother's birthday, and her daughter really wanted to make this cake for her grandmother. And so she was like, okay, now, but you know you're responsible for making this cake. And she was like, yeah, I'm responsible for it, whatever. And right as they were getting ready to leave, something happened. Like, I think like the cake slipped out of her hands and fell on the floor, and it was destroyed or something. But right before it happened, you know, and everything in her wanted to go and like just make it right for her daughter and buy the cake and whatever. But she was like, no, this is like a teaching moment, you know. And so she gave her the opportunity of choosing how she looked at that situation, that opportunity in her life. And that's where my sponsor always says to me, this is an opportunity for growth. What are you going to do with it? You know? And basically that's what Barbara Coloroso said. She looked at her daughter and she goes, what are we going to do? What are you going to do about this? You know, the cake was your responsibility. And she's like, I don't know. She was like, you know, I know grandma's going to want a cake. And she was like, what if we went and bought a cake? And and her mom is like, well, cakes are expensive. And she's like, well, I think I have enough money for half of the cake. Would you be willing to pay for the other half, and then I'll work it off? And she was like, you know, I think that that's a fair deal. But she gave her the opportunity to fix that on her own. How empowering is that, you know? When we're able to fix things on our own and take a look at that and say, you know what, like, I can fix this. I can look at this in a positive way and realize that maybe something good can come from this, you know? And not just looking at everything as woe and pain and hurt and anger, you know? Because then that leads to resentment, which is the #1 offender for people in sobriety. But also people that aren't sober. Who wants to live with resentments, unfulfilled expectations, feeling like the whole world did us wrong, you know? I don't want to live that way. That's no fun. You know what I mean? So that was a great meditation. I'm actually going to read the meditation from yesterday because it's a little bit longer. And the title sounds good. And this is from July 30th. Worrying doesn't change anything. It is human nature to worry about what you care deeply for, but worrying alone does not change anything. All you get in return is sleepless nights, scattered thoughts, and a whole lot of heartbreak. Think about how you can better channel your concerns. What actions can you take to support what you are worried about? Who can help you carry the weight of whatever is keeping you awake at night? You cannot change what you have no control over, but you'll feel a lot more powerful if you take direct action around what you are able to shift. Remember, action creates transformation, but worrying simply creates more anguish. Wow. My old sponsor used to always say to me, I could just see him sitting there saying it. He used to always say to me, I know that it's probably, people are always probably like, what do these sponsors look like? You know, well, my sponsor now is probably one of the wisest women that I have ever met in my entire life. And, but interestingly enough, and I think people would probably find this funny, and I always tell her, this is how I describe her. I think she kind of likes it, but she kind of is like the Real Housewife of sobriety. You know what I mean? Hair done, makeup done. She loves hats. She loves hats, you know, and bags and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, she's my heartstone, and I love her to death. And, my last sponsor and my sponsor before that looked very much like truck drivers, and I absolutely adore them. And I just, you know, I really have I've been so blessed to work with some amazing people in my life. And anyway, but my old sponsor, he used to always say to me, he looks like a 70-year-old truck driver. One of the things I love about him is he used to tell this story. He'd say to me, because he always wears like a trucker hat, you know, and he was in a meeting when he first got sober. He was like about a year sober, and this guy, we closed the meeting with a prayer, and the guy grabbed his hat and threw it on the ground, and my sponsor picked it up and he put it back on his head, and he goes, God doesn't want, the guy said to him something like, you take your hat off for God, or something like that. And my sponsor picked up the hat and put it back on. He goes, my God doesn't care if I wear a hat. And I love that so much, you know. But anyway, he used to say to me, he'd say, Peter, he'd say 90% of what you've worried about is spilt milk. It already happened. Or 90%, he'd say 90% of the things that you're worried about never happened. That was a different sponsor. He'd say 90% of the things that you worry about never even happen. What's the point in worrying about them? You know, you're borrowing trouble. You know, my mom used to say that about borrowing time and borrowing trouble. Half the things, 90% of the things you worry about, they never even happen. And then my other sponsor, the one I was just talking about, he would say to me, you know, like all the things you worry about are spilt milk. You can't do anything about, you cannot do anything about something that happened 1 second ago, let alone 10 years ago. You can't change it. What you can do is accept it and take a look at it and say, what am I going to do about it now? You know, like how Oprah defines forgiveness. Forgiveness is looking at what happened in the past, not that accepting what happened in the past. Not that what happened was okay, whether it was yours or somebody else's. Not saying that what happened was okay, but saying, I accept that it happened. It happened. I can't change it. Now, what am I going to do so that it doesn't hold me hostage anymore? It doesn't hold me hostage, you know, in my life. Because we want freedom from the pain, right? I think most of us do. And I look at that and I think, like, worrying's never really got me anywhere. Now, I think there's a difference between being prepared and being worried. I think being prepared is smart. I think being prepared and preparing for the future and today, I think that's smart. I think worrying to a point of obsessiveness, where it's all you think about, there's no point in that. You can't do anything about it, you know? You got to let some things go and let God. That's how I do, you know? That's how I live. If you're not a believer in a higher power, then you let go and, you know, believe in the universe and see how things turn out. And I'm not saying that things always turn out the way that they do, but then we go back to the meditation before, right? And it's how do we look at those things that happen to us that we can't make sense out of, and what do we do with that, you know? Do we talk to somebody about the pain that we're having? Do we try to learn something from it, you know? Do we just rack it up as another crappy thing that happens to us? Because there's not much that's learned from that. But how we live our lives and the perception of how we look at it and how we choose to take in the things that happen to us, that is our choice, you know, that is our choice. And worrying about things, like this meditation just said, or quote, or whatever you want to call it, worrying about things, stressing about things, obsessing about things, that's never helped me. I wish I had all the answers to that. I don't. I still worry about things. I still stress out about things, you know, and all that, and obsess about things and stress and worry, but not as much as I used to, because I realize I just don't have as much control over it as I used to, you know? And it's like, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I'd rather just, you know, be grateful for another day here and not ruin the day by worrying and stressing out over things that I can't control. So, and there is a lot I can control. I can control the way that I respond to the world. And I've met some people that are literally angels here on earth that have been through hell and back, and they put a smile on and they're peaceful and they're serene. And when you ask them, are you doing okay? They'll be honest. They'll say, no, I'm hurting. I've done better, but I'll get through this. And whatever you're going through out there, you're going to get through it too. You're going to be just okay. Promise. I hope. I hope. Anyway, I probably shouldn't promise things I don't know, but you're going to be okay. And I think for all of us out there that, you know, I always think about this. That there are people that, whatever I'm going through in the moment, there are people that have gone through this before. And there are people that have gone through 100 million times worse things than that, you know? At any moment that I'm going through something, there's somebody out there that's suffering worse than I am. It doesn't take away my pain. It doesn't take away my hurt. But I think that it puts it in, you know, it puts it out there, and it kind of humanizes it for me and makes me realize that I'm part of a bigger picture, you know? And that the pain is the human equalizer. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of those two meditations, and let me know what you think about my new reading glasses. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.